Hey, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Bailey, and for the past 5 years, I've been the CEO of a tech company that I started. On this channel, I explore the relationship between performance and self-care. Today, I'll be discussing one of the greatest tools discovered by high performers, and that is the flow state. This video is for you if you're interested in increasing your motivation, creativity, learning, and joy, or if you're interested in decreasing overall anxiety and symptoms of burnout. I'll get into the 5 components of flow and how to get more of it in your life. But first, a little background. I started learning about flow during a really challenging time in my life. I kept being hospitalized for ovarian cysts, and I was totally emotionally exhausted from over a year of trying and failing to fundraise for my company. By the 3rd time I ended up in the ER, yes, it took me 3 times to learn this. I remember staring at the ceiling and thinking, there has to be more to life than just getting incrementally more stressed until it's over. Right around then is when I discovered the book called Mapping Cloud 9 by Steven Kotler. I passed my time in the ER listening to the audiobook, and I found this quote that I instantly fell in love with. It says, "Flow is the doorway to the more most of us seek. Rather than telling ourselves to get used to it, that's all there is, instead, learn how to enter into flow. There you will find, in manageable doses, all the more you need." I loved this quote because not only did it mean that someone else had found the same more that I'm looking for, it also meant that they had a recipe for how I could find the same thing. Okay, so what is flow all about? You're probably already familiar with it. Flow is the feeling described by surfers, artists, athletes, musicians, chefs, and so many more, where time slows down, distractions vanish, and they describe themselves as being in the zone. In the flow state, we're not anxious or self-conscious. And part of the reason for that is because your brain is redirecting all of your cognitive resources away from the part of your brain that processes time. This makes it feel like an infinite present moment, or some people refer to it as the infinite now. When time dilates like this, anxiety disappears. That's because anxiety isn't a present tense experience. It's usually ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. That means that when time dilates, anxiety gets flushed out of our systems. Flow also feels really good because there's something known as the challenge-skill balance. Being in a situation that is just a little bit more challenging than the skills that you have forces you to be present, to push yourself, automatically develop clear goals, and receive immediate feedback. For example, if you're snowboarding or skiing and you're going down a run that challenges you, you're much more likely to enter into the flow state than if you go down a run that is totally in your comfort zone. Our brains also naturally reward us for pushing ourselves and doing activities that it perceives as challenging. I've heard a lot of people say that humans just naturally move towards comfort, but flow tells a much more nuanced story because our brains specifically reward us for participating in activities beyond our current abilities. When we push ourselves, our brains release dopamine, and that's one of the most pleasurable substances known to the human mind. The release of dopamine is one of the reasons why flow is so addictive, but researchers don't like to use that word. Instead, they use the word autotelic, which basically just means the activity is an end in itself. You like doing the activity just to do it. Since flow feels so good and we're motivated to get back into it, it increases our motivation. When you increase motivation in one area, it tends to increase your overall motivation as well. But it's not just the dopamine that does this. When you're in flow, our brains release 5 to 6 of the most potent brain chemicals we have to offer. The list also includes norepinephrine, oxytocin, serotonin, anandamide, and endorphins. Each of these chemicals operates like an endogenous street drug, but if we tried to cocktail them ourselves, it would be fatal. So we already know that flow increases motivation, but it also increases learning, creativity, and joy. The joy, as you can imagine, is impacted by this potent chemical cocktail, but we also learn twice as fast when we're in the flow state. We're significantly better at things like pattern recognition, and we're also much more creative. In our society, we're pretty terrible at teaching creativity because it's not really a skill that you can develop so much as it's a state of consciousness that you can enter into. Getting into flow and triggering chemicals like anandamide helps get us into that ultra creative consciousness. Plus, while we're there, we're unburdened by our typical anxieties, and that only helps us be more creative. Flow probably sounds pretty great so far, but the best part is that the rewards outlast the experience. That means that even though we're entering into flow for maybe just an hour, the increased motivation, learning, creativity, and joy can last 1 to 2 days longer than the experience itself. This is what makes it such an incredible tool for high performers. By investing just a short amount of time in activity that gets us in the zone, we improve our performance in dozens of ways simultaneously, and for the next 24 hours plus. Experts now know that by making time to do the things that we love, the things that we can lose ourselves in, we don't just have better lives. We're better performers in every capacity. For some people, flow happens in the mountains. For others, it happens at home or in the gym. If you're wondering what triggers flow for you, try looking back to the things that you loved to do when you were a kid. If you climbed a lot of trees, then maybe making time to get back into nature will get you into flow. Or if you love to draw, maybe making time to explore a creative pursuit. If you played a sport, you could try indoor rock climbing, surfing, weightlifting, or running. And if you love performing, maybe you could take a dance class or join an improv team. Many of us know what kind of things will get us into flow, but we don't always make them a priority. If you're looking for a way to apply all of this and you made it this far in the video, maybe take a second to block off an hour or two in the next week to get into a flow state activity. And if you're really interested in increasing your performance and quality of life, maybe make that calendar event a recurring one. Okay, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what your favorite flow state activities are, and until next time, I want to remind you that you're doing a great job. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next video.